Apple is about to make some huge changes to the iPhone 15. The notch is finally gone for good, we're getting a major design overhaul bigger than we've ever seen before, and the iPhone 15 Pro series is getting a new screen on the back. Wait a second, I just gotta ask, is any of this stuff actually going to happen? Early iPhone rumors are always super exciting, but the closer we get to the iPhone's official launch, the more we learn that most of that exciting stuff isn't actually happening, and sad to say, the iPhone 15 is no exception. In fact, I've got a lot of new info on the iPhone 15 that you need to know, but not a lot of it is particularly good. So here are the top 5 things you need to know about the iPhone 15, and to be quite honest, it's not looking too good right now. Let me be clear right off the bat that I am not some Apple or iPhone hater. I love Apple, this channel isn't called the Android Square, and I've spent more money on Apple products over the years than I honestly care to admit. But for the sake of this discussion, check out this horrible tech hoarding box I've got. And let me also be clear that yes, of course, so much can change between right now and when the iPhone 15 officially gets the unveil treatment at a September event. Of course, rumors are right, wrong, things change, but as it stands right now, based off all the info we know, there's some important news that you should know about when it comes to the 2023 iPhone lineup. Maybe you're thinking about making the upgrade, maybe you're thinking about waiting with the iPhone you've got right now and you want to know if the iPhone 15 is worth it. Let me tell you what you need to know right now so you can make the best decision for you that's best for the phone in your pocket and the money that may or may not be in your wallet if you decide to buy an iPhone right now or wait for the 15 series. First up, let's talk about one of the biggest rumors of the year, and that was a major redesign that was rumored to be coming to the iPhone 15 series that would give this phone a brand new look, give it something that we have never seen before, give it a major refresh beyond just a regular new sort of color or coat of paint. This is supposed to be the iPhone that looked totally different, totally new, and was supposed to be sort of like the jump from the iPhone 8 to the iPhone 10, or even the 10 design series to the 12, where we got the boxy edges and squared off corners. This year was supposed to give us a new look, a new feel, but now that might not actually be happening. And a lot of the speculation and hope for a major redesign with the 15 this year came from some specific rumors and sources that I'll come back to in a moment, but I think a lot of the hope for a redesign and really a lot of the planning came from sort of Apple's track record and their iPhone design history itself. For example, Apple used to do this sort of tick-tock cycle, no, not that TikTok, but a cycle where we'd get one major redesign and then a smaller redesign and then a major redesign, smaller redesign. We saw this from the 4 to the 4S to the 5 to the 5S, 6, 6S, you sort of get it. Apple would give us a big redesign, then not change the design, then do something different. But then a few years ago, they changed that and were giving us basically a new design sort of every 3 years. And since the iPhone 10 style design lasted for about 3 years and the iPhone 12 design has sort of lasted for 3 years, according to the math and the numbers, this was supposed to be sort of the year that we'd see some bigger redesign and some change to the look of the iPhone. We also got sort of those iPhone 4 style renders and sort of redesign rumors from John Prosser a few years back. And also even Mark Gurman over at Bloomberg said that according to sort of Apple's track record, we should see some sort of design change and design overhaul this year with the 15 series. But as of late, it's probably looking likely that the iPhone 15 design will look similar to the iPhone 14's design that we've got right now. I'm sort of sorry to say. Okay, before I move on to my next point, actually there is an update here I should mention because we do have some good news about a design change on the iPhone 15 series, but still probably not what you were expecting. No, I've got no new info on like an iPhone 4 style redesign or a major overhaul, but a new report that we just got recently sort of backs up another report we heard a few months ago that Apple is expected to make a design change to every single iPhone 15 model, and that is basically giving us a flat display and then curved edges on sort of the borders, the surrounding areas of the phone. Think sort of like the iPhone 5C, maybe something like the Apple Watch Ultra, And then the curved edges of like the iPhone 10, 10s, and 11, it's sort of hard to picture, and no one exactly knows what these phones are gonna look like. We haven't really gotten any great renders as of right now. And also, we're hearing that the iPhone 15 Pro and Pro Max might have super thin bezels around the display, even thinner than what we've got right now, and that would just be exclusive to the 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. So again, I'm not saying a total overhaul redesign is on the table, but it's looking less and less likely, especially if these rumors of this design change are true. Gonna be nice to see something different, but I think many of us, correct me if I'm wrong down below, would like to see a more significant design change than just a flat display and curved edges. The second piece of bad news that you need to know about is a very sensitive topic and a point of contention right now in sort of every industry around the world, and that of course is price. And Apple was very proud of themselves, even sort of explicitly mentioned with the 14 Pro that they were in fact not raising prices and sort of keeping things the status quo, which is great. Nice to see the pricing remain, but unfortunately, at least according to one rumor, that is not expected to be this case this year, as Apple might be raising prices on at least some models of the iPhone 15 series. At least one source is suggesting that Apple is going to raise prices on the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max this year to really better separate Apple's non-Pro phones from their Pro phones. And the reason this is so important to Apple is really because of what happened this year with the 14 series. Obviously, if you watch this channel, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but for those who haven't heard the news, basically, according to multiple reports, the 14 sort of regular series, 14 and 14 Plus, are really not selling well due to a couple of different things. One is that the phones don't look different at all. They also don't have a ton of new features, and probably most importantly, the price of those models is a little high, especially considering the fact that just for $200 more, you could jump from a 14 to a 14 Pro or a 14 Plus to a 14 Pro Max and get way more new features and get a phone that looks different for, relatively speaking, just a couple $100. And in my opinion, and I think many of you guys would agree as well, if Apple wanted to fix this issue, instead of raising prices on the Pro phones, they should add more value and feature to the non-Pro phones and maybe consider lowering the prices just a bit. I get that with the $200 gap, there's a lot more reasons to go to the Pros than stay with the non-Pro phones. But also, sort of the iPhone 14 as it stands at what, $799 is kind of an expensive offering for what you get. I know this might be a little controversial and a little crazy, but I think that if Apple was to sort of lower prices, maybe take that phone from $799 down to $699 or even $599, they'd basically allow way more value in their lineup and show not only are these great phones, but you're getting them for a really good price. I know that there are carrier deals and incentives and stuff like that around the world, but point of the matter being, Apple's not expected to actually lower prices. That's just sort of wishful thinking. Instead, they're gonna raise prices probably on the Pros to sort of widen that gap even more. Now, as to how much that price increase could be, we don't know, but knowing Apple, wouldn't be at all surprised if the Pro goes from starting at $999 to $1099 or even $1199 as they add more features to their Pro phones. They're probably going to use that to sort of justify the price hike this year. And the problems just do not stop there, because sort of speaking of the 14 Plus, other reports indicate as well that not only is that phone really not selling well for Apple, but some have indicated that it's selling worse than the mini line of phones, and also that right now, maybe inside of Cupertino in that secret sort of walled garden, they're considering a couple of options on what to do with the plus size phone, including the option of just sort of canceling the Plus line altogether and only offering 3 15 models instead of 4. I have also got some bad news for those of you who hate when Apple just sort of randomly removes things because they want to, really not because they have to. They did it with the headphone jack. They did it with the SIM slot here in the US as of just the past year. And then also they're gonna do it with physical buttons. So if you're a fan of the clicky, clacky power and volume buttons on your iPhone, I've got some bad news for you, because according to now multiple reports on the 15 Pro series, Apple is going to, for some reason, remove the physical buttons and replace replace them basically with like digital counterparts. So you're not gonna have physical buttons there, but when the phone is on, it's going to emulate clicks like we had sort of with the home button of the iPhone 7. Okay, so that was just a few minutes of like nonstop bad news, but let me be clear, this is not all doom and gloom for the iPhone 15 series. Even if we don't get a major redesign, even if the price goes up, even if Apple removes random features for whatever reason, there actually still is a whole lot here to get excited about. And I will say, especially for those of you who don't want the Pro phones, if you're looking at just the regular 15 and 15 Plus, there are a whole lot of reasons to get excited for those phones. One, because the price shouldn't be going up, and also because those phones are getting a whole lot of new features that are finally going to make these phones better than ever before. According to the rumors, Apple is bringing a whole lot of big features to the 15 and 15 Plus this year, including some Pro features from the Pro-end iPhones. They're now coming down to all iPhone models in the lineup. Specifically, the Dynamic Island is now coming to all iPhone 15s next year, so you don't have to have just the highest end phone to get the Dynamic Island goodness. Also, the main 48 megapixel camera from the 14 Pro series is coming to every iPhone next year, so a nice big camera upgrade for those of you on the regular 15 series. Also, USB-C port on every single iPhone is going to be a beautiful sight to see. And then some other under the hood improvements with the 15 as well. We should see a newer processor, maybe some differences to the RAM. We should get better battery life, maybe some new colors. All that stuff is going to be all well and good to see on the 15. And like I said, hopefully the 15 Plus too. And then sort of keeping with the theme of reserving higher end features for the higher end, more expensive phones, 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max should also be getting a couple of exclusive features that you cannot get on the other phones in the lineup. These should be things like a titanium frame replacing stainless steel, the A17 Bionic chip inside, faster data transfer speeds on the USB-C port on the bottom, and also on the highest end phone, the biggest, baddest iPhone of them all, a new periscope zoom lens system that might be giving you 10x optical zoom on the 15 Pro Max or the 15 Ultra. Name on that new phone is still TBD. All right, so now it is your turn to sound off in the comments down below your thoughts on the iPhone 15 series as it stands right now. Is Apple doing enough here to compete with their new flagship iPhone lineup? Do you think the periscope zoom lens is worth it for the Pro series? Do you think that Apple is doing enough to sort of separate those two phones? And sort of your thoughts on the price hike, some of the features that could be removed this year, like the physical buttons, the switch to USB-C, maybe the cancellation of the 15 Plus. What are your thoughts on Apple's plans for the iPhone right now? Let me know your thoughts down below. We can discuss. As always, I appreciate you guys watching the Apple Circle. Thank you so, so much. I really appreciate your support. I'm Robert Rosenfeld, and I'll see you all in the next one.
Yeah.